All right, welcome back, everybody. Thanks for tuning in this week. It's been a very busy week around here. We were out of town from Wednesday until yesterday. Our daughter graduated from college, so I guess that's one thing we can discuss is getting in and out of here now. The airport is under construction here in the valley, and it's not so bad in the summer, but you have to walk outside now. There's no gates anymore or ramps, so you got to walk out to get on the plane. And we went, I forget where we went this winter, but it was when they first started doing all this construction and had to walk outside in the middle of a driving snowstorm. So that wasn't any fun, but hopefully they'll be done soon. Do you know when that's supposed to be done?
I think sometime in 2024. I mean, I think they still have a ways to go,
Well,
all the inside. So I don't, but we're already June of 2023. So I'm guessing they probably have a year left.
yeah, well, it'll be nice when they're done, and I suppose by the time they're done, they'll need to expand again with all the new flights we have coming in here. Angie used to be on the board of the, what is it, the airport board? What did you guys do?
It's called Glacier Aero Board. And we would fundraise to bring new flights into the area. We've always, that's been one of our bigger, issues. I mean, pros and cons to everything, but flights in here. We've always had Delta, we've always had Alaska, but that's kind of been it. United has come and gone. They do have a fairly steady service to Denver now. And during the winter, they have nonstop from Chicago. But our issue has always just been people making those connecting flights to get into Kalispell. And, airlines, for the longest time, we had a shoulder season. So nobody wanted to come in here year round. So like direct to Chicago goes from maybe the second week of December to the first week of April, and then they don't do anything all summer. And then some of the other airlines like Avelo and Allegiant, they have directs to LA right now, but that's only during the summer. So yeah, it's, year-round service into Kalispell can be limited sometimes and expensive. I would say that that's probably our bigger issue, is that it's just expensive to get in and out of here.
Well, that Avelo one, I had never even heard of that airline, and they just started a few weeks ago, but it's like $50 to Burbank, I guess they fly out of in LA. So
yeah. And Allegiant this time of year, same thing. I think Hallie's ticket for later this month on Allegiant to go back down to LA is same thing. I think it was $48.
yeah, well, there you go. We're moving up in the world here in Northwest Montana. Couple other things. Go ahead. Let's go see. Hey, Darren says hello. Darren will be up here soon. We got people from Pennsylvania, Iowa, Oklahoma, Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, Nevada. Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, because we've been gone all week, and it's been just a whirlwind around here. I didn't prepare tons of things to start out the show with. A couple of things we can go over. I'm going to try and share my screen, and hopefully this works properly. But there was a bear attack last week. Let me get it here and put it up. It was over on the Middle Fork of the Flathead River, and it was a black bear, which was weird because normally you don't hear of black bears attacking people too much, but sounds like this was a raft guide, and they were doing a guided trip, and they were camping right along the river, and the bear came down into their camp, and one of a lady guide, was sleeping outside of the tent, or just sleeping outside on the ground, and the black bear came up, and doesn't sound like she was hurt real bad, but she did go to the hospital, and I guess everything's fine. But yeah, it's kind of weird that it was a black bear. As
Yeah.
as I said, we don't hear about black bears uh,
Going
attacking people
out.
much.
Yeah.
And then another thing, let me try. I'm trying to get back here. Another thing that went on this week that was kind of cool. I'll share my screen on this one too. There's this across the United States bike race, and it comes through Montana. So I've been kind of following it. It started a week ago. Um, and it's kind of cool to follow along. And so here's the map. Uh, they start over here and just south of Seattle somewhere. Actually, it was right on the Oregon-Washington border, I guess. And then they came over Lolo Pass, and then down. There's still some people. It's amazing how quick some people are and some people aren't. But this is Highway 12 that goes over Lolo Pass right here. And then they went down through the Bitterroot Valley, through Hamilton, Darby, and then I've never been over here, but they end up in Yellowstone Park and um, continue on. But yeah, the first place guy already is down in outside of Denver, and there's still some people. This guy in last place still in Oregon, so it's crazy. That's a lot of pedaling.
Oh, well, I did. I don't know if Will's probably mentioned this, but a certain time of the year, and I think going to the sun hasn't opened yet, has it? That I've heard of.
No.
And you can ride your bike up going to the sun with no cars, which is really nice. But oh my goodness, there are some overachievers that as I'm huffing and puffing my way up that 16-mile grind, and you just get past like you're standing still. And yeah, I would probably still be in Oregon as well.
Yeah. And then we got John on here. Hello, John. He's coming in. He just got a house up here, and it was fun to work with him, and he got a great place, and he's coming up Friday, so that's exciting. Dave, Kalispell needs more Kalispell needs more people from LA. Let's see. Here you go. What is the soil like for home gardening in the Bozeman area? Please, thank you. How many months do you get for growing? 6, 4. I think the soil down in Bozeman is pretty good. There's a lot of farming in that valley. I suppose it depends where in Bozeman. If you're up in the mountains, it might not be as great, but I mean, definitely people have gardens all over the state. So it's just, I'm sure the soil's fine. But again, it'll depend where you are.
And I'm guessing that Bozeman is probably a zone 3, maybe 4, but I would guess probably 3. And they might get a little bit more of a growing season than us just due to the sun. They do see the sun a little bit more than we do, early on in spring, that type of thing. But yeah, I would think it would be somewhat similar to ours.
Yeah.
Oh, and she asked if, how many months. Yeah, or depending on.
I mean, I think most people around here start planting at the beginning of May.
Yeah.
And then so May, June, July, August, September. Yeah, 5 months.
And then it kind of becomes the frost issue, covering all your plants and.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, I was putting this up. Hello from Italy, Christian. Planning to visit Montana soon. What else do we have here? Oh, here's one. Based on your last video, how similar is the yak to the Bob Marshall? Well, the Bob Marshall is obviously a protected area. Landscape wise, the mountains are kind of different. The Bob Marshall's more like Glacier Park with the exposed, like the mountains you can see behind me in this picture. Um, Whereas the yak is more, I guess it's the elevation. They're more, they're definitely mountains, but they're not the big exposed rock mountains like this. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, yeah. And the yak it's just so dense, and not that Bob Marshall isn't, but um, smaller area and definitely dense up in the yak.
Yeah. Hello from Texas. I'll be visiting Missoula on Thursday. Looking forward to my first visit. We'll have fun. The weather's perfect up here right now for those that are planning trips up here. So it's a good time to be here. Here's someone from Kalispell. Here in Kalispell, our growing time is about 100 days. You have to start plants inside under the lights. Yeah, I forgot about that. A lot of people do start. Our neighbor, actually, our next door neighbor, has a little greenhouse off the side of his house, and they start their plants in there. Here's another bike race. You also have the Great Divide bike race going through your area, starting in Canada, heading to New Mexico. I bet that's a lot of hill climbing. I think I would pass on that one. But yeah, I think Angie, you had talked about the going to the sun bike ride. That is just relentless uphill. It never levels off. So I can only imagine these guys going up all these mountains on those type of races.
Yeah. Whew.
Our last for us is Memorial Day. Let's see. I moved from Montana 35 years ago to find a job and have a career. I retire in 6 weeks. I won't be moving back. Too cold, too expensive. We'll be relocating to Oklahoma. Oregon is too woke and crazy. Yeah.
Congratulations on retirement.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Let's see. Are you folks in Montana experiencing air quality issues from the wildfires? We were. Alberta, all the smoke they're getting in New York right now is because of it's up in Quebec. Those are the fires. So obviously we're not going to get that smoke. It would have to go against the wind all the way back here. But in Alberta, about a month ago, it was pretty smoky. But we've been getting a lot of rain for the past few weeks, so I'm guessing they've been getting it up there too. And our weather, or
it's pouring right now.
I just noticed that. So yeah, our smoke has dissipated, and I think it's kind of funny. We get usually every summer for about a week at least. It depends on the year, but you'll always get a few days of smoke. Just because out west there's wildfires all the time, but it cracks me up, and obviously it's a population thing, but the news is going crazy about, oh, look at New York City, look at the smoke, oh my God, and it's when it happens up here nobody says a word, but that is the deal.
Oh my gosh. Well, I know that you can't see as well as I can, but we just had a storm blow in, and the trees are basically blowing not quite sideways, but there's definitely a vertical tilt to.
I can see that. Yeah, well, if we lose you guys, that's why.
Yeah, and I was just
power.
45 minutes ago, I ran to the grocery store and flip-flop shorts. It was beautiful. I don't know where this came from, but it is pouring. Huh.
Hello from Sydney, Australia. God, there's some worldwide views today. This is kind of cool. Thanks for tuning in.
You know what? I'm going to close some windows. I will be right back.
Okay. Let's see, Joe, did Hillary get married yet? As a matter of fact, yesterday was the royal wedding, and that's what we were doing all day yesterday. So, oh, our power just blinked. So if we lose you guys, it's because of the storm we have going on right now. It's pretty bad. I wish I could point out the window here. But I will keep going with questions. Let's see. Hi, guys. We are two Australians are moving to Whitefish in October. Any tips on finding a rental property? Well, I've gone over this numerous times, and unfortunately, here in Montana, somebody needs to do this. I say this all the time. If anyone wants to create their own job here, they could do a central rental site. Because unfortunately, what you have to do is, if you're coming to Whitefish, you type in Whitefish Rentals, or even Kalispell, and then the different companies will come up that have the rentals, and then they each have their own set of rentals that they manage. So you have to, go to each website and check out what everybody has. And, like I said, it's unfortunate there's no central location to look at all the rentals, and it's just a pain in the butt. So I'm sure you've already ran into that. And yeah, so did you make the save?
Yeah. It's hailing, it's raining, it's kind of a combo. But the best thing about typically the weather in our area anyway, in Montana, you stick around for 10 minutes and it kind of blows in and then blows back out.
John, any recommendations for house cleaners to come through and clean an empty house? John, I will call you with that. But yes, we'll get that taken care of for you guys. And then we got Jonathan. I'm laughing. Your weather is perfect. Yeah. Well, so I'm in my office in the basement. I couldn't see what was coming, and so yeah, probably poor timing on my part with that comment. So, here we go. This is for you, Angie.
26 days in county till I'll be back to my home state in Montana. So my question is for Angie. My family wants to hike Columbia Mountain. Is it a good hike for kids? I mean, depending on their age. I did that hike, 2, if not 3 years ago. And, if I remember correctly, it is about a 4,000 or 5,000 foot elevation gain in a 6-mile distance. And that was a hard hike. For me, it was probably more the coming down. It's so steep. Again, depending on, how much your kids like to hike and how old they are. But if you have young children, I would probably find something, with maybe a couple thousand feet of elevation gain in a few miles instead of close to 5,000. Because I don't know that I will do that hike again. It was the bang for the buck once you get up there. Beautiful, very, very pretty, but that was a lot. Well, and with that being said, though, the people that I was with, total overachievers. And they're in fantastic shape. And so he was basically running up the mountain, and yeah, they're super nice people, but in very, very good shape.
And you'll notice she didn't mention me on that hike. All right. If you are a Montana resident hunter, do you need to participate in a lottery to be chosen for elk hunting? I'm not sure. I'm not a big hunter. So I did some bird hunting as a kid, but I don't really hunt here for the big game. I believe that the lotteries are for certain sections. Do you know the answer to this?
Yeah, I don't know what the elks. Yeah, and I think you might be right. There may be a lottery for certain areas. I don't know. I'm sure you could go on to the state of Montana, hunting.
Yeah, just Google the Fish and Game and they'll have all the regulations on there. But I think there are some areas, obviously the popular areas probably where all the elk are, that there's a lottery. But I don't like around here. I don't know if there's a lottery because I don't know.
I
Yeah,
know that,
sorry.
yeah, it seems like there is, when they do that bison thing every once in a while down near Yellowstone, I think that's a lottery. I think there are some lotteries now, like bighorn sheep, that kind of thing. But I don't know about elk.
Yeah. Here's a good one. With all of the due diligence one has to do when looking to buy a ranch with water rights, conservation easements, mineral rights, what are the turnaround time you're looking at, or what is the turnaround time? That, Andrew, you can chime in here, but that would just depend on the ranch and, how many things and how the size of it and how many different easements and, are part of it. I would think that if it's just I don't know what a standard ranch is or would be, but um, uh, I don't know why it would take any longer. Most of that is done up front. When you do the listing, they'll have all the documents for everything. And, when you make an offer, you can, set a time that to give yourself to do the due diligence. But yeah, I think it totally would depend on the ranch. Would you agree?
Completely. And the size of it, I would say that, it's also figuring out, when it sells, who receives the income from that year's crop. I've sold a few cherry orchards down on the east side of Flathead Lake, and that is always not an issue, but like depending on the time of year, like if that person had done all the work and it closes right around harvest, which is usually the end of July.
Oh, for the cherries, yeah.
Yeah. So that's not that it's an issue, but yeah, that's something else to consider with any type of,
Business.
farm. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Luckily, we have some hunters here. Is Angie sitting in front of a green screen? Yes, she is. That is not our living room. We do not have a piano anymore. Thank goodness.
Chopsticks.
CJ, no, this is for hunting. No, you don't. Almost all hunters districts are over the counter. The Elkhorn's an example of a district where you have a drawing. So that's what I thought. So there you go. Thank you for answering that. All of our hunters out there. Coming back for a couple months and staying at the hidden gem known as Ida Ranch near Eureka. Huh. Never heard of that. Sounds like a nice place. Eureka's a good area.
Yeah, very pretty.
So
good hiking up there, and you can take your dogs if you have pets, whereas the park you can't. So it's I have a girlfriend that we hike up in that area sometimes, and you can take your hounds.
There you go. Let's see. Looking for a conservative town in Montana, unlike Missoula. Any recommendations? Well, Missoula and Bozeman are the kind of the liberal strongholds because they're the college towns. Everywhere else is pretty conservative, I would say. Let's see. Brewery question. I have a son and his family in Lakeside. I live in Atlanta. What is your favorite brewery or brew pub? I can't find anything better than Tamarack in all of Northwest Montana. Tamarack is good. That is a good place. I know the people that own it and started it, and so that is a good brewery. But you know what? I don't really have a favorite. They're all good. There's a lot of them up here now. What's the one down towards the airport that Andy goes to all the time?
Oh, Sacred Water.
Oh yeah, I haven't even been there. I've heard good things, but yeah, I mean they're all good. Tamarack is great. Their food is really good. That's what I like about Tamarack. I mean, obviously the beer's good too, but the food there is great. So, yes, Darren agrees. Tamarack is a good place. So, look at this. We're already down to the bottom of the questions. We're not even a half hour in. We must have done a good job on answering everything. Or all the people that are tuning in don't need to know anything about Montana this week. So if you have any other questions, fire away. Otherwise, we'll bail out and we won't just sit here and ramble.
Hey, Will, Gordon said Etta Ranch is near Glen Lake outside of Eureka.
Oh, okay.
Nice. Yeah, and Glen Lake is beautiful. What a pretty spot, pretty lake. Yeah, very, very pretty.
Back to the ranch. Would it be fair to say that most large ranches are closed with cash, as financing large ranches just don't cash flow? I think that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think you could go into many banks and ask for a, $20 million loan because you decide you want to be a rancher.
Yeah. The few people that, the last cherry orchard that I sold, a few people were trying to obtain financing and, like a Whitefish Credit Union or a Glacier Bank that maybe holds some of their notes in-house. They were willing to finance, but it was a large, I think it was at least 30% down. And that cherry orchard, the last one that I sold, he had, he always had really good crops and good trees and, turned over the trees as they aged out and was really involved in the co-op and that type of thing. And financing was kind of always the issue, and it did end up selling with a cash buyer.
All right. Now we're getting the questions rolling in. Threaten to leave and look what happens. Can you talk a little about the buying process, contract, recommended inspections? I'll let you take this one.
The buying process, I think that the first thing is, making sure that you get pre-approved so you know exactly how much you can or want to spend. Just because you're pre-approved for a certain amount doesn't necessarily mean that that's how much you want to spend. And then it's finding something and tying it up so that you have time to do your due diligence and look at the well logs, look at septic permits, any easements, do your inspection, depending on the age of the house, and then possibly negotiating those inspection items and working through the process. So definitely a process. I would say if, something that's you're buying with cash, depending on the involvement of the property itself or the complexities of the property, you could probably get something closed in a few weeks. If you're financing, we usually like to give 30 to 45 days just to allow for the financing process.
There you go. Yeah, obviously, a lot goes into it, and you need somebody that can help you out. All right. Obviously, demand is high to live in the Flathead. Are you seeing people not qualified to buy be more common than it used to be? Yeah, I mean, with the interest rates gone up a lot, And then he followed up with this. I keep seeing houses go contingent and then back on the market. So yeah, I mean, that could be numerous things. It's not because they don't qualify. Because normally, I think Angie just mentioned it, talking about buying a house is most people, you know, it's not required, but it's highly, you know, suggested that when you make an offer, you have a pre-approval letter. So you show that, you know, you're qualified to buy it. So, you know, these houses that are contingent and then go back on the market, more than likely it's inspection. Most of the time, something came up in inspection and the people didn't want to fix it, or, you know, the buyer was like, oh, I don't want this house now, whatever it may be. So, you know, again, every house is going to have a different story. But normally, you know, if someone's approved up front and they shouldn't be making an offer on a house that they can't afford. So I would say most of these houses you're seeing are because of inspection issues. So anything interesting in Ravalli County worth visiting? Well, that's down in the Bitterroot Valley. Uh, Hamilton.
Right.
It's, you know, there's nothing, there's no national park. There's a lot of hiking in the Bitterroot Mountains. It's beautiful down there. You know, where they filmed Yellowstone is down there. You could drive by that. You can't really tour it. I don't know. Do you have any suggestions?
I mean, there are some golf courses if you like golf. There's fishing down there. Did you mention that?
I did not. That's a good
No?
call. Most areas need fire or flood insurance.
Yeah, flood insurance. We have, with all that rain, I have a leak.
Oh, handy.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Do you need to go? Do you need to do something?
Well, I think we're going to have to do something at some point.
Yeah, flood insurance, again, if you're down near a river, of course, in a flood area. Fire, you know, I did a video on that last year. There's a guy that I work with up here that is an insurance agent. And in fact, I'm going to be doing another video. We're going to go out and show different ways to get your insurance cheaper, to get insurance, period, when you live out out in the woods, in the mountains. So yes, fire insurance more so than flood around here. I mean, again, it just depends where the house is at, but you're probably going to need one or the other. Unless you're in town, you know, most towns you're fine with those two things. So let's see, is Yellowstone based on what's going on in Montana? How about the train station? And actually, it's been off the air so long now, I kind of forgot what's going on. But yeah, basically it's based on real life, you know, all the people moving in here and developing the land. And so, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of truth to the show. Obviously, it's all fiction. The train station would be the fictional part. I don't know of anywhere where you can, you know, go take people out. So, but it definitely brought a lot of people to the state, that's for sure. What would you say the climate is like in the Big Sandy area? You know what? I have never been to Big Sandy, but it's kind of in central Montana, so they get a lot colder than we do up in this part of the state, and probably a little warmer in the summer. Have you ever been there?
No.
All right. What is the average time period for doing your due diligence? I would say normally I put in 2 weeks, just that, you know, the inspectors are busy and that gives you time to get an inspector out there. And in that time you can check on the other things. They'll usually send out the title report, and that's, there's another section of the contract that you get time to review that as well. So I would say, most contracts we write up are 30 days, around 30 days. And so the first 3 weeks is when you're doing all that. And then the last week, you're just kind of waiting to close. So between 2 and 3 weeks is usually the time frame. But again, it depends on the size of the house and what type of inspections you want to do. You can write in as long as you want in the contract, or give yourself as long as you want in the contract. And, so the time frame will vary. There's no standard time period. In your video on the remotest spot, is there an actual spot you hike to, or are you spoofing your viewers? Well, I actually hiked to a spot, but that would be a little Hollywood magic. I was trying to get people to figure out where it actually is. And the answer is down in the Bob Marshall Wilderness. But I did not hike to that spot. I simulated it. Here's what's so funny about that video. There were some people that were totally irritated that that they didn't believe that was a spot, and they didn't get the joke. And so I don't know, I guess you can't make everyone happy, but I found it funny that people were annoyed by that video. There were some strong opinions that I got on that. So more on the Tamarack Brewery. Tamarack also has a location in Missoula. I've been to both, but since the beer is all made in Lakeside, I prefer that location. The beer's fresher, apparently. Let's see. Here's a question for you.
Does the square footage in Montana real estate listing include the garage or unfinished basement? Typically not the garage, at least not in our MLS. An unfinished basement can be included in the total square footage of the house, but it is broken down, finished, unfinished, that type of thing. So it should be included in the overall or the total square footage of the house, but not necessarily finished living space if it's unfinished.
All right. Have you dealt with any USDA loans? Yes, tons. Because I believe I read this, all of Montana, there's the biggest one is the RD, Rural Development Loan, which is a great loan for first-time home buyers, because you only have to put, isn't it 3% you only have to put down? So we've dealt with a lot of those. But all of Montana, I read, even in the towns, in the big cities like Billings and Missoula and Bozeman, you can, even though it's called a rural development loan, it still qualifies just because Montana is so small, or population wise. So what about the crime report for this week? Bob, sorry. I was saying, if you weren't here at the beginning, it's been a hectic week for us, and we didn't have a chance to put together the crime report. So in 2 weeks from now, on our next video, we'll do that again. We'll have a lot more to choose from by then, I'm sure. I'm really seeing a lot of Montana homes have been on the market for 300 days with 0 price reductions. Yeah, there's a lot of people that are trying to win the lottery out there. And when you see a house on the market for that long, that's usually the issue. So, Darren, good one, Darren.
No, it is stopped dripping, but I'm guessing what happened is last fall we had some snow breaks put on our roof, and I'm guessing with that amount of water, we need to probably have somebody come and re-caulk those, what they screwed into the roof, would be my guess. But yeah, I'm hoping we don't need a new roof because I don't really feel like paying for one right now. But we definitely need to. This is
Well,
not
that's got to be. You're right. That's exactly what it is. They screwed that into the roof.
yeah.
So
And I'm guessing that because it was. I don't know that we've had that amount of water coming down, and that. I mean, now it's of course it's not raining anymore. No more wind, and what it's 20 minutes later. But yeah, it's yeah. We'll be calling a roof person tomorrow.
yeah. Yeah. So no, Darren, that was not,
No,
not the stage.
I don't
Um,
joke about roof leaks. Ugh.
so is it customary to be able to meet and talk with the ranch manager and staff for compatibility before making a decision on purchasing a large ranch? I'm sure it is. Um, again, I don't know why they wouldn't want to meet with you. Usually people are, they want to, brag about the place, talk about the place, tell you about the place. So I would, I would find it odd if they wouldn't talk to you. Um,
But that person is also asking about the ranch manager and staff. So Will sold a 20-acre horse property a few months ago, and yes, they did the Will did put the caretaker of the property and the buyer together. Um, and I think that
yeah.
he ended up keeping that guy on, but there were, pros and cons to everything. I mean, it sounds like the caretaker maybe the personalities at first didn't mesh, but once they figured out their communication style, I think it got a little
No,
bit better.
everyone got along great.
Yeah.
I guess that, um, yeah, I didn't read the question properly. And I mean, the owner, yeah, I suppose they maybe if someone on the staff is disgruntled, they probably wouldn't want them talking to them. So that makes sense. But yeah, you're going to, again, if you're looking to buy a large ranch, you want to be comfortable. And if all of a sudden nobody wants to tell you anything or talk to you, then that's your answer. So, but yeah, I mean, you can ask to talk to anybody and they can say yes or no. And, um, and you'd have to take that into consideration too, who exactly you're talking to. And if they, if they are disgruntled or whatever, I'm sure, you'll be able to pick up on that pretty quick. Any tips on getting used to the change in lifestyle coming from a 3 million plus city where everything is under schedule to 90K in Missoula? Enjoy it.
Slow down.
Yeah.
Slow down for the animals too. I mean,
Do you think these high priced properties will go lower anytime? Is 2007 to 10? I don't think it's ever going back to those prices. We've been discovered. People are trying to get out of, like the last guy trying to get out of the big cities, and um, so we're in demand, and the inventory is so low. Just the whole Rona thing just did a number on this whole state in many ways. Um, everybody bought up the inventory that was there, and now with the interest rates, people are sitting on their houses that normally would have sold because they're paying 2% or 3%, whatever the rate they got in at, and then to move up like most people do after 6 or 7 years, they want to cash in and get a bigger place or whatever it may be. Well, now because the rates have doubled from what they were, people are sitting on their houses, so our inventory is still very low, and that's I don't ever see, unless there's some major crisis, something that happens to the country, I don't think the prices are ever going back to 2007. Dwayne, are there train tours across the state of Montana? I don't think so. You can take a train across the state of Montana, the Amtrak, but I don't know if they do tours. They may do shorter tours in different spots, but I'm not aware of any. Are you?
No, I'm not aware of any.
All right. What are the complications or gotchas when looking at properties that are within the Flathead Reservation? There's really none. I've called the title company numerous times for people that are trying to buy a place down there, and they say it's just like buying, a piece of property up here. The only difference is that, yes, you can buy properties on the reservation, but there are some properties on the reservation that cannot be sold to you unless you're a member of the tribe. So other than that, there's really nothing different that I'm aware of. Are there any areas of Montana that have more supply than demand for architects and builders? Probably not right now.
I don't know. I mean, our area is more supply. Oh, probably not.
No. Where in Montana is it warmer during the winter? That would be over in like the Thompson Falls. What's that river over there? Why did I just draw a blank? That valley down through there is because it's so low. Troy is in that. That's the Kootenai River. But yeah, what's that?
The Clark Fork?
Maybe. Right? I don't think so. Maybe, I don't know. Anyway, yeah, over in that Thompson Falls area is probably the warmest part of Montana. But again, I've said this before, it's not like you're out golfing in January over there and it's snowing here. It's warmer, but it's not like where you drive over there and there's, palm trees. So it's based on the elevation. Well, good. Gordon got my joke and enjoys my sense of humor. Thank you, Gordon. Some people need to loosen up a little bit. Like I said, that's what I should have done in this video. I showed you all the hate mail I got from some people on that video. Let's see. Montana now has a population that is similar to Saskatchewan. I enjoyed the video you going to the remote parts. Well, thanks, Dwayne. Christopher, there is no warm place in Montana. I would agree with that. Let's see. Any research on how long people tend to stay in Montana after buying there? I'm seeing homes that sold a couple years back on the market. Did they experience their first -40? Yeah, we do. It is kind of funny. People come up here this time of year and I better watch what I say. Last time I said the weather's perfect. It's beautiful up here in the summer. There's not a better place on the planet weather-wise than, July through September up here. It's just spectacular. Blue skies every day and no humidity and kind of low 80s. It's just perfect. And that's that's when most people come to visit. And then they just say, I want to move to Montana. Well, then they get up here and, go through a winter or two, and then they tap out and call us back and want to move. So yes, they experience their first -40. That is good, because that is a lot of truth to that.
That's exactly how my dad, he's lived in his house for 30 some years, but yeah, they spent a winter here and were like, yep, we're out. So.
Let's see, any update on the recreation app fiasco? Oh, is this the park? You must be talking about for getting into the park. I have not heard any updates. It's, yeah, used to be a lot easier when you didn't need to get online to buy tickets. Do smart parcels of land, 5 acres or so, come up for sale just out of town very often? Yeah, they do, but they sell pretty quick. It's
And
kind of what
fewer and fewer,
everybody's looking for.
less and less. And then there was a question about height restrictions who want to build a home in the state. And, I think it depends on if it's in town, if it's outside of town, are there covenants, zoning, that type of thing. But if it's unzoned and no covenants, then no restrictions.
Here, this one's for you. I liked your camping episode. I've been practicing marshmallows. That would be that was the big marshmallow competition between Angie and Tracy, another gal that works with us, and
The roast off. See, but here's the difference. So I like my marshmallow completely.
Well, here before
all the way around.
hang on. Before you start, explaining why you lost the competition, we did a video for those of you guys that haven't seen it. I guess it was last summer, and we did a video where we just talked about camping. And anyway, Angie's a local. She grew up here in the park and has roasted a marshmallow or two in her day. And this other gal in our office, same thing, a local. And they started arguing about who could do a better marshmallow. And so we had a competition during the video, so you guys can all see. And Angie's still a little bitter about
Except for there was a difference, and she did her first marshmallow. I think caught on fire, and then we roasted again. And we're trying to. And she likes her marshmallow. I mean, she could get her marshmallow like that big. It was huge. And I just like it to be browned all the way around and soft enough inside to melt the chocolate. So that's my criteria.
Yeah. Let's see. I was watching another YouTuber on an auto channel the other night and saw, surprisingly, he was in your living room. Can you explain? I don't. Huh. Oh, in your living. Okay. I guess maybe now that I've figured it out. So Angie's sitting in front of a green screen. And this app that we use to do these broadcasts has a couple of standard pictures, and that's one of them. So I didn't even think about that. So it's called StreamYard, the app we use for doing these videos, and it's like there's not many of them out there. A lot of people use this, so that would make sense that you saw the exact same living room. We're going to have to. We can put in custom ones. Angie hasn't. She has been nice enough to be doing these videos. She never wanted to do them, but she's coming around, and she was all worried that you guys were just going to beat on her and, make nasty comments. So thank you for being nice. And as long as everyone's nice, she'll continue to do these. So that would explain that. And it looks like we are running right up about the hour mark, and we're down at the bottom of the question. So I guess we'll end it there. Thanks everybody for tuning in. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, please do. It helps us out. And here comes a question here. I'm an interior trim carpenter moving there next April. Just curious if the work continues during the winter, or should I look for a bartending gig? No, it goes year round. If they didn't, we'd be so far behind on the building, it'd be crazy. So
people try to get it roughed in, like the walls up and roof on, that type of thing, so you can work inside. So that's always the big push. Get concrete in the ground and then walls up, exterior walls.
Yeah, so you will not have a problem finding work. So, all right. Well, thanks again for tuning in. We will be back in 2 weeks again and do this all over. So come up with questions. We'll do the police report next time. Sorry we didn't get to it this time. And again, see everybody later, and thanks for tuning in.
Thank you.